What's up, folks? I'm Odd, by the way. My background is purple! I got new sheets, and I guess one of the benefits of that is that I hate top sheets, so instead I use them to hang as my background so you don't have to see the rest of my room. It's not always messy, but it's a little... I don't want to show it to anybody. Our local Bed Bath & Beyond is closing. I think they're all closing, which is insane to me. That is like a major feature of like, I guess my life, that like it was always somewhere in the background. I never went there, but it was always something that was there, and like it was made reference to in like that one Adam Sandler movie, Click, which may have been a remake, actually, I think. So that's interesting. But not as interesting as today's topic. Getting back to art, we are going to be looking into a form of basically abstract art, actually, that got recommended to me on my personal YouTube feed. And it came up to me from like a couple years ago, so this was probably a trend that existed then, like, I don't know, 2018, 2019. And it is called neurographic art. Now, neurographic art was coined, at least the phrase was coined, by a Russian psychologist and artist named Pavel Piskarev in 2014, which isn't totally all that long ago, but it's almost 10 years ago, which thinking about makes me sad. There's a process to it that's more or less kind of difficult, like, to directly explain, but the concept of it was to basically tie together the subconscious thought process with the conscious by, in a similar like mindfulness sort of way to like meditation, creating art, usually starting out with like scribbles or something like that, that you made with a certain mindset in mind, and then going through and thinking about that problem as you go and like round out the hard edges, and like the finished results of these rounded edges between objects kind of actually look like neurons, which is interesting that they got that like intersecting like star shape, almost kind of like vascular, and it's really cool. I wasn't able to find like a lot of like official resources on it my first go around. I didn't do a very deep dive into Google. What I did find were a lot of courses being advertised that were like, oh, use this to like buy this, mind you, to fix like your addiction or your trauma or your BPD, I don't know. And like that to me feels like a little sketchy, pun intended, but like a little pseudoscience-y, and obviously that might not have been the initial idea. The initial idea seems very beautiful. It's turning something maybe a little bit more chaotic into something beautiful, and connecting that somehow to your mind through the process of physically drawing it. I don't know if it works like a charm. I mean, not for everyone, obviously. It's just another form of mindfulness. It's just another form of meditating on something that is giving you issues, you know, and stuff like that, like sorting through your problems, being mindful about them. For lack of a better term, shadow work is always good, but there's a lot of people that tend to scam on it. And I took a couple of psychology courses, and I'm no expert by any means, but if I learned one thing from the like 2 classes that I took, about psychology, is that everything that is not deemed a proper science has usually been thrown at psychology and sticks there for a little while because it's considered a part of the mind sphere, basically. Just, I guess, as a general disclaimer for the first part of this video, but we're going to be doing it because when I saw the video, the initial video that sparked my interest in this, I noticed the patterns and the coloring, and I realized that this was something that I had done before. Not necessarily in the theme of neurographic art, specifically being mindful about it, but it was something that I did a lot when I was a very small child. And for that, I think I need to get us out of our expected client, CSP, for today and go to one old friend of ours, a mispaint. That's gonna be a deep cut. Anyway, so the thing, and I saw a couple people, I think, talking about this before, but the thing that I did a lot when I was a kid is that when I went on the computer, I wasn't immediately jumping to go onto the internet. I was actually a little bit afraid of it when I was a little kid. And instead, I would open up MS Paint, obviously in a much different form than it is now, and I would just scribble. I would maybe make lines, I would do stuff like that, and then I would take the fill bucket tool and fill in the gaps of the scribbles. Very, very invigorating process here, obviously. But it was fun. It was what I did to pass time when I was a little kid and I was like bored and I was stuck inside or something like that. Get on the computer, open up MS Paint, and I think I'd say like, I'm gonna make a coloring page. And I would always try and convince my parents to print them, and it would be like rainbow colors. They'd be like, we don't have enough ink for that. We don't, just, it's nice. It's lovely. Just, no. So I thought that it might be fun to try neurographic art digitally, for one, because a lot of the processes that I saw were traditional, which does make sense. But initially, I'm probably going to do two, one in MS Paint and one in CSP, my main drawing program right now, and try my darndest to do this relatively correctly, a little mindfully, try and actually get into it, and, you know, like, see how I feel, I guess, at the end as well. But for the most part, I really just want to try out this method and see what it looks like, because it does that also. At the very least, it seems like a cool way to create some form of abstract art. And I'm not a big abstract art person, personally. I'm just not, I can get into that headspace. So, like, I'm curious just to see what I could get out of this. With that, let's see if we can get into this. Now, pen pressure isn't going to really be a thing. I'm still going to be using my pen in MS Paint. So, let's go through the process, basically, this first time, right? So, we got a whole bunch of new ones, actually, on this. I haven't opened MS Paint in forever. I'm going to stick with brush. Actually, I might go for tools and the pencil, whatever. Like 3 pixels. And the basic idea is that you're supposed to think of something and essentially doodle, like scribble, for like 3 seconds. And initially I'm thinking, I feel like I've been feeling a little restless lately, like a little listless. And I don't totally know why. So I guess that's probably already over 3 seconds. But that's the basic idea, is that you go in and you draw these shapes to start out with, and then you maybe go in and you like complete some lines, you add some extra shapes, add some like extra shapes throughout, just kind of fill in the space. And then you add in even more lines going like across the whole piece. They can either be straight or flowy. I'm a big flowy person, so we're gonna go for flows. And the idea is just to make it look more appealing, I suppose, to start out with. And go in here and start to add a few more shapes to the piece and get everything all sorts of sorted out. And after you have finished your scribble, which this is going to take a while for this next step, you're supposed to go in and basically at all of these intersections, like I said before, you're supposed to round them out. And the idea is you're basically, you're slowing down your brain and you're thinking about what you were thinking about, and you're being really mindful about it. So I might speed through this and then we'll get back to the coloring phase. Okay, so we're back with our finished lines here. This looks interesting. I would say it kind of looks like a bunch of orbs, like stuck together with some sort of like globby substance. But it looks cool. It definitely looks cool. And here you can see what I was talking about earlier when I was saying that these intersections where the edges of the lines meet, they look kind of like neurons, don't they? They look kind of like, at least what we dramatize neurons to look like, which is that big pulsating light connection situation going on. And now the thing that that comes next is basically just coloring this guy in and trying to figure out how exactly I'm going to do that. I'm definitely going to be playing with the colors a little bit here. I really kind of want to play with that globby idea. So maybe like, a bit more yellow? Okay. See? And then just sort of going around and filling these in. I saw a video, the initial video that I saw of somebody doing this, mentioning like color techniques, and I was like, that's a thing? And it makes sense that there's color compositions, but it was never something that was really brought up for me, so I'm gonna try my best to figure that out with placements and stuff like that. So like, ooh. I'm gonna edit this color a little bit. That's better. And yeah, you can see that these abstract shapes kind of start to stand out a little bit more as you do it, which I think that that's interesting. The new shapes that you've created out of the old shapes, the old problem that you've been dealing with, this new kind of process. Take you, purple, a bit darker. I don't like that. Hold on. Starting to look cool. Now I got a lot of cool colors, and I might want to go in with some warms. Maybe a yellow. Too much. There are a lot of little bits here that I need to fill in still. I might go in with that green a little bit more. Not there. Whoops. Try and make it at least further apart than that. The space to put it, honestly. I'm gonna go for another shade of blue here. There we go. You see, I don't know if I'm liking the green. Well done. I'm liking that. I'm enjoying this development. Okay. Oops. Boop. Boop. That tiny little dot. Okay. And then I might actually change the color of the lines. That might not be a bad idea. That would be fun. Says me. A little darker, maybe. Too darker. Too light. Now. Dark. Dark. Okay. I vibe with that. I can't fully describe it, but I enjoy it. And I think that that's good, right? When I was doing this, I definitely did have a feeling of like I was able to settle in, and obviously I'm not the best when it comes to mindfulness. I can admit that about myself. And I have like these moments where I was trying to like focus on it, and then I go like, oh, video, focus, video. What am I doing later? And it was a nice experience to try and be mindful, and there was a period of time that I let myself kind of settle in and think about it a little bit more. This is just fun. It looks like a cartoon. I don't know how else to describe it. It looks great. I like it. It does. It makes me happy, so that's good. That is the number one priority here, is that it makes me happy. The dog keeps barking. So I'm happy with that. It definitely brought me back to playing with this as a kid. It's kind of ironic because I was using a non-anti-aliased brush, so there are technically pixels and sharp lines like everywhere. But this looks really cool. So I am happy with that. And at that, let's move over and see maybe what I can do in CSP. That might be fun. Okay, that. And we're right here in CSP. I already had it open. It was in the background. So that is where we're going to start. Now, I could probably make this smaller. This is my usual size of canvas, and honestly, she's probably not gonna be... Let's go in here, because I don't want to change my file type, and just make it a bit smaller. Because the other one is smaller. I'm actually going to make this 1,000 by 1,000. Okay. Bit smaller. Way smaller, in fact. About 3 times smaller. So, in this case, basic car. In this case, stay. We are going to be using CSP. Now, I was thinking, because I've seen other aspects of how to do this. I was thinking that maybe when I make my initial shapes, before I add in the lines, I might try and color those. And then I'll go back in and color the background and the lines and stuff like that. You'll see what I mean in a second here. Let's just get this kind of doodled out. Now, in my head, I'm gonna count to 3. I'm gonna think of something kind of troubling me. Feeling a little directionless in life, kind of. Doing this has definitely been a bit more helpful with my improvement of art, but I don't know, it's just been kind of one of those things. So that is my feeling. It looks kind of like a snail kind of trying to box. Finish this off. I'm gonna add some little like shapes around, I suppose. So like whoop. Whoop. This is interesting because I've got pen pressure back. Just try and keep it the natural shapes. Okay. So I am going to go and like try and color these and then go in with the lines, maybe? I don't know, I kind of like the other method of going through after I add lines. Let's keep up with it. I like that better. I'm not a big coloring person. It still kind of looks like Bold and Brash. I can't get it out of my head. Okay. Alright. I'm gonna fill in these little the edges. I'm gonna fill in the edges and we will meet back here and do something maybe different with the coloring because I have layers. Yeah? Okay. Okay, so we're back with our finished rounded out lines, at least I hope. I caught a few near the end there that I had to fill back in. I think that we're good. But yeah. Okay. It looks like some sort of vehicle or like a guy, like a bug guy running. I don't know. This one was interesting. I tried like a kind of a self-imposed challenge to sort of like prevent myself from like undoing too much, and there were definitely moments that like my left hand was like right over the button that I have mapped to undo. Like it was getting close, and I was just trying my best to allow things to flow and to not be pretty and perfect, because a lot of the time this is done traditionally, and that's the idea behind that part. That's part of the process, and I wanted to try it myself. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. Gosh, who knew? And I tend to be the perfect is an enemy of good, basically, mindset sometimes. And kind of relinquishing that and just kind of focusing on what I was doing was definitely a change in mindset, you know, like whenever that topic of the like feeling like directionless in life and stuff like that comes up, I get a little bit emotional, like just on the back end. My brain understands that this is usually a topic of anxiety and is like, time to cry. But in this case, I was able to, at least on certain circumstances, focus solely on this, kind of think through it a little bit, but for the most part just focusing on the process of soothing the emotion through rounding out the lines, and it was definitely something interesting. This looks a little pokey. One second. These you beasts round out. Okay, anything else? I think we're good. I think I touched everything else, which usually means that it's rounded out. right? But yeah, these like spider webby sort of like obviously looking like neurons kind of like vibes, they're definitely interesting, and I'm curious about them, and I do love the way that it looks kinda. This one, I feel like it could invoke a little bit of tryptophobia just based off of the placement of some of the smaller intersections. But yeah, let me see. I kind of want to go for like gradient in the background. It'd be like a sunset kind of vibe. Pink to like yellowy orange. Yeah. But you don't need to be there. Okay. Okay, that looks good. I've already got it around. Just gonna go boop. Doing this with the circle is fun. It's fun. I love it. There we go. Jeez. Okay. And then I kind of want to go in and fill in everything. I can do this, set this as a reference layer, go below, and just sort of fill in the lines as I see fit. With like night sky colors. And I might even later kind of go back and kind of blend these a little bit so they look nice. Okay, purple. And right now I'm just trying to make sure that none of the colors are touching, per se. These two are close. They're deadly close. So that they give this vibe of, I guess, completeness of sorts. Boy, is she noisy today. And yeah, actually I kind of like this like limited selection of colors and then these showing through to the background. So hold on just a moment and let me kind of like I want you. I'm just gonna. There we go. Something like that. I think that looks nice. I might actually play around with the line colors here and see. I'm like, I was thinking white. Ooh. Is that too much? I don't know, I think it looks kind of psychedelic. Hold on, I'm gonna blend this little color over here. Too big! Too big! There we go. I think it looks cool. I think that is pretty awesome, actually. So I think that I'm going to leave that there because I like that. That is the vibe. And I think that is a big takeaway from this overall, too. It's just like, this isn't something that takes, trying to word this correctly. This isn't something that takes a massive amount of artistic skill to do. I would say that, like, you might not be happy with the results in comparison to other people, but, like, there's this... In the moment that we're in that worry of, like, AI stuff or copying and stuff like that, like, obviously there's those concerns about, like, careers and stuff like that, but I guess that there's that little bit of nice reassurance that's like anything that you make with your thoughts and your feelings, that's yours. That's yours alone. And there's nothing that could imitate it to that degree. With all of the sirens while I'm trying to have a moment. Jeez. Anyway. I think that that's a good takeaway to have from this process, is it's like anything that you make with your feelings, with your mind, is uniquely yours, and it cannot, not to the fullest extent, it cannot be replicated. It's not a totally, like, fear-removing epiphany, but at the very least, it's a consolation. It's something to think about, that anything that you make is yours. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter if it looks a little bit like something else. That's, you know, if you made it with your feelings and your thoughts in mind, then it's something different. So, at that, I'm going to stabilize my table, and I will leave you with these pieces that I think turned out really cool. It's a really interesting subject to get into. I'm gonna play around with this a little bit more because I see some little bits and bits that I wanna play with. Wanna make sure that it looks nice, at least. Anyway, yes, I'm gonna leave you here, and at that, I hope that you got something out of this. I hope that maybe you could find some sort of relief through this, if at all possible, or at least some degree of mindfulness about whatever situation is going on. And I will see y'all next time.